The MacArthur Justice Center has been in existence for going on 4 decades now. This is an organization that was inspired by Rod MacArthur,
who was really a visionary, a great innovator, entrepreneur, a real Renaissance person, and a very spirited civil libertarian.
It is the brainchild, really, of Rod's 3 children. It was designed to honor Rod's memory by engaging in advocacy on behalf of those in the criminal justice system who are poor, vulnerable, to whom the justice system is indifferent, or even worse, whom the criminal justice system has unfairly targeted for oppression.
June 11th, 1939, my father, Roderick, and his college and high school classmate, Boyd France, went into the black part of Orlando, Florida, and there was a police crackdown on nightlife going on at that point, and they saw a cop car driving into a crowded street corner, and they followed them in their car. They saw 2 white guys, 2 white kids in a black neighborhood, and told them to clear out. And Boyd, who was a loudmouth, and not by coincidence the son of an important future civil liberties lawyer, started mouthing off and saying he had the right to be there. And they couldn't push him around, and so the cops arrested him. My brother Greg, my sister Solange, and I had already learned a kind of civil liberties catechism from my father about how unfair the odds were for black people, but also how unfair the odds were for dissidents in general.
His vision was really kind of Knights of the Round Table, and he said what he really envisioned were these terrific trial attorneys who could be dispensed whenever there was social injustice anywhere in the world. There would be an attorney who could essentially go and address that case.
Asked David Bradford, who was at that point very close to our family, if he was interested in taking on or developing cases like this. And he tried our first case, which was on behalf of a guy named Dickie Gaines.
Gaines, who was the first inmate in Illinois to have exhausted state post-conviction remedies and to have reached federal habeas with his death penalty challenges.
We re-investigated, retried the case. The death sentence was vacated, and eventually he was freed from jail.
And as a result of that work, we became really integrally involved in virtually every death penalty case in Illinois in one capacity or another.
The Justice Center has evolved beyond just doing retrying, in effect, relitigating cases, and has become much more sophisticated about appeals and winning class action suits.
A real critical turning point was when we had the good fortune in the early 90s to hire Locke Bowman to be that one other person, and Locke really has been responsible for the development and success of the organization ever since then.
I'm humbled and amazed at the work of the people who are practicing law under the umbrella of the MacArthur Justice Center.
When my sister died in 2012, she left the bulk of her estate to the Justice Center. And that's allowed us to increase our scope even more.
Around the country, we're challenging the proposition that people can be punished because they're poor. No one should be held prior to his criminal trial simply because he's unable to afford the amount of bail that was set in his case. We're challenging police misconduct. We're challenging police investigations that have led to the wrongful conviction and lengthy incarceration of innocent people. We're opposed to the discrimination against prisoners on account of their gender or their sexual orientation. We're opposed to confining people behind bars and denying them the opportunity to communicate effectively with those in the outside world. We are all about bringing together a group of advocates, lawyers, and other professionals. The MacArthur Justice Center exists to fight on behalf of those who are oppressed and made vulnerable by actors within the criminal justice system.
I still believe that the face that you can affix to the name, to the docket number, is the most effective way to fight racial injustice in the country. I wish my father and my siblings were alive to meet the people we're representing.